Any of these kinds of things.
Together, they put rumors to rest, talk about their public image, and show themselves to be quite the parents. A 2020 exclusive, a conversation with the Prince and Princess of Wales.
And when the royal couple visit Washington, it will be a whirlwind of parties and dinners. The city's aflutter. What are the preparations for England's royal couple? What are the do's and don'ts of royal protocol? Bob Brown goes behind the scenes of royal mania.
Yes, 4 hands, 2 princes, and a piano. It's a photo session at Kensington Palace with the Prince and Princess of Wales and family.
I can't do a bit louder.
Of course you can.
I can't.
They think they're doing fine for the photographer Tim Graham, but let's get ready for a better shot.
Could you do that again, think?
What do you say?
One more kiss.
One more kiss, please. Steady.
Go.
You didn't mean to do it.
Hurry. Hurry.
From father, a young pianist needs a cue on where to look.
Hurry. William.
Really? Right. Oh, right. Henry's standing there, it's fine.
See.
In the drawing room at Kensington Palace, the Prince and Princess of Wales talk together about their life and work, their causes and interests and bugbears, and their family. It's quite a family time. Prince William's just off to school. Your Royal Highnesses, everybody thought Prince William did terribly well when he set off to school, and you said to him, wave everyone goodbye, and then he just went away. Were you a little sad at that moment?
Well, I was, because it's opening another chapter in my life, and certainly William's, but he's ready for it. He's a very independent child. He's surrounded by a tremendous amount of grown-ups, so his conversation's very forthright. And as you saw, he's more than happy to go down those steps and join the other children. We do see a lot of children. There's always this myth that William, being who he is, hardly ever sees a child, but I have 2 sisters that have with 5 children between them, and I have lots of friends who have children as well, so we get around.
And he really does enjoy it. I mean, what did he say to you that first day when he came home?
Well, he was just so excited by it all, and there was a tremendous spurt of conversation. If you could understand that, you could understand anything. He's trying to get it all out. But he just adores other children, and very much an organiser, which probably might be helpful in future years.
The world sees your partnership, the Prince and Princess of Wales, as a unique job. But what do you think the nature of your job really is?
Well, the difficulty is, of course, that I dare say other people may think differently from what we do. But I think the first and most important thing, really, is that it's not so much a job as a way of life. I think this is the essential feature of the whole thing. And I mean, I frequently read things saying, why doesn't he get a proper job, or something like that. And I honestly, personally believe that the whole way of one's life is part of the job. And one of the important things, I think, is that it is more than anything else the fact that one is trying to be ambassadors, I hope both of us, for this country. And the way I think we live our lives, in a sense, is also the role. But again, I don't think one can say too often that the particular position that I find myself in and my wife, there is no actual laid down job or role, and you have to a certain extent, do as you think right and fit. It'd be quite easy to do nothing, in fact. So it's really just the way you feel that things should be done. And above all else, I think the important thing is to serve this country and its people and the Commonwealth.
But I do notice that one of your increasing interests seems to be jobs for young people and getting young people a start in a business life.
Very much so, yes. I been very much involved in this, really, I think, since those rather dreadful riots in Toxteth and elsewhere in 1981, which is the year we were getting married. And I thought rather seriously about things then, and got together some of the people in my trusts, and we worked out a scheme, because I felt very strongly that we ought to try and find a way of enabling young people in rather deprived parts of the country, in inner city areas and so on, to actually start their own enterprises, because I believe that there is a great deal of talent which lies underutilized. And with a grant of about £1,000, it's amazing what can be started. I went to give the thousandth of these grants to one of these young people from London.
At the other end of the scale, you had a meeting with some businessmen from Boston. What did you learn from them?
Well, this is one of those extraordinary occasions when, much to my amazement, the Americans have actually learned something from us. And they've started this thing called Jobs for Youth in Boston.
But ma'am, when you go out on your engagements, launching things and lunching people and so on, it is a great responsibility. But what do you feel your role is? What is your contribution?
I feel my role is supporting my husband whenever I can, and always being behind him, encouraging, and also, most important thing, being a mother and a wife. And that's what I try to achieve. Whether I do is another thing, but I did try.
But you are developing your own interests and your own specialization.
Yes, but that's taking time, because I don't want to dive into something without being able to follow it up. Nothing would upset me more than just being a name on a top of a piece of paper and not showing any interest at all.
You were struck first by the hospices, weren't you?
Yes.
What particularly, when you first went into one, what did you sense about it?
I'd always been led to believe that it was possibly an unhappy place, because patients went in there and not always did they come out. So it was fascination on one side and concern on the other. And certainly after I'd been around the first ward, I remember it so vividly. I was struck by the calmness coming out of the patients in their bed. And most of them will have gone by now, obviously. And it was confronting their illness. They were so brave about it and made me feel so humble.
Well, you know,
Don't look too near, you might get a shock.
I've seen enough photos of it.
I know, there's too many of those. We know about that. Yes.
And also Dr. Bernardo's with mentally handicapped children.
You see, I've got two very healthy, strong boys, and it's not always the case with the families I'm meeting through Dr. Bernardo's, and I realise how incredibly lucky I am. And I don't know how I could cope if I had a child that was handicapped or mentally handicapped in some way. So for me, I'm going out there to meet these children, and I'm learning all the time. I'm trying to understand, trying desperately to understand how they cope.
Well, now, two questions that everybody will want to have answered. What do you say, ma'am, when you read in the papers that you are a determined, domineering woman?
I don't always read that. I'm people very willing to tell me that. But I don't think I am. I'm a perfectionist with myself, but not necessarily with everybody else. And those stories arose a long time ago and have kept coming out again and again. But I don't think I am.
You feel hurt by them?
Well, obviously one does. You feel very wounded, and if it comes out, you think, oh gosh, I don't want to go out and do my engagement this morning. Nobody wants to see me, help panic. But you've got to push yourself out and remember that some people hopefully won't believe everything they read about you, because there's far too much about me in the newspapers, far too much. It horrifies me when there's something more important, like what goes on in a hospice, or there's been a bomb or something. They'll put me on the front page.
But there is a natural and continuing interest in you. For example, have you actually tried to change Prince Charles in any way since you got married?
Not at all. I mean, obviously the one or two things, like maybe the odd tie or something, but nothing. Shoes. We won't go any further. But nothing dramatic. I mean,
Now the other question is about the Prince and vegetarianism. Is that true, sir? Are you a vegetarian now?
I know I'm not a complete vegetarian, no, but I think I started to examine the things I ate slightly more carefully than I had done before, and became slightly more conscious of what I was eating, which I hadn't done. And I actually now don't eat as much meat as I used to. I eat more fish. But the point I think is very important about this is that the extraordinary thing that, in a sense, one should be accused of being in any way interested in vegetarianism. Because if you only ate meat and no vegetables, nobody would complain at all, which always seems to me rather illogical. But if somebody only eats vegetables or whatever and doesn't eat meat, then all hell seems to break loose. I've never quite understood this. I think the important thing, if you are going to change your diet in any way, is to make sure that it is adequately balanced. And in order to do that, you must either get proper advice or read the proper books and so on, because if you do it wrongly, you don't get the right intake.
Are you thinking of following in his footsteps?
no, it was always been my own idea. I mean, I prefer fish than I do meat. But it's, I don't think I'm going dotty.
It doesn't cause any problems in the family. The children like what they get.
No, and they you know, they can eat what they like.
Of course, some people say that you're so slim, you probably don't eat enough anyway.
Mm. When we go on an engagement, if it's a lunchtime one, we often have a buffet lunch, so we can get around the enormous amount of people there sometimes are. So it's impossible to talk and eat at the same time. So you end up chasing a bit of chicken around the plate, and then never getting anything yourself. And by the time you get home, certainly there's no time, you're rushing off somewhere else. But I'm never on what's called a diet. Maybe I'm so scrawny, it's because I take so much exercise. I don't know.
And you keep up your swimming, do you?
Yes, I swim every day, sometimes twice a day, if I've got the time.
And do you have time to keep up your dancing?
Yeah.
We're always interested in that.
I actually wanted to be a dancer, but I overshot the height by a long way. I couldn't imagine some man trying to lift me up above his arms, but I do it once a week, if I can, and it's a combination of tap, jazz and ballet. And I really enjoy it enormously, and I think it's vital to switch off for 1 or 2 hours every week.
Now, do you have any sense of living in a state of rivalry with Princess Anne, as is said time and time and time again?
None at all. Princess Anne's been working incredibly hard to Save the Children Fund, and I'm her biggest fan, because what she crams into a day I could never achieve. And we've always hit it off very well, and I just think she's marvellous. And the story arose, obviously, because she wasn't chosen perhaps as a godmother for Harry, which had our child been a girl, the possibility was there, but Harry arrived, so we went to a man.
Do you think sometimes that newspapers, as is the way of life, build people up and then just as quickly knock them down?
Well, they do, but there again, it's their job, isn't it, really? I came in on the scene and I apparently could do no wrong, but it's quite interesting to see the niggly things that go on now that I apparently perhaps could be doing wrong. And I'm sure, I'm not asking to be perfect, I'm far from it, but I just like the chance and opportunity to get involved in my various areas that I've chosen without people talking about being a shopaholic or something. That's not important.
But it is true, if I may say, that this question of building people up onto a pedestal, and the moment that happens, along comes a separate brigade that, like knocking you off a pedestal. I mean, it's human nature, I suppose. So from that point of view, it's absolutely true what you say, I think, isn't it?
Definitely.
Well, on your pedestal, sir, there are people who say that some of your interests, say like alternative medicine, are mildly eccentric.
I mean, I think I'm becoming more eccentric as I get older, probably. Well, clearly, something like, I prefer to call it complementary medicine, can easily be considered by people who don't think that it has any relevance at all as eccentric. I can understand that. But all I am concerned about is that complementary medicine or other ways of looking at the person, in other words, looking at the person not so much as a machine, but as a whole person, in the classic, ancient sense, is very important, and I don't think we should forget this aspect. And I also feel there are certain aspects of complementary forms of medicine which can have a great deal of value and effect for certain ailments. And all I am making a plea for is a slightly more open-minded approach to this sort of thing than to just shut it off and say it doesn't exist, because there are plenty of cases, and for hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years, where such forms of medical treatment have worked. There's no doubt about it.
Does that extend to your interest in spiritualism, mysticism?
Well, yes, absolutely. Again, it's entirely, I think, I've been riveted by the way in which all this has developed, because I have seen articles shown to me saying that I play with Ouija boards, which I don't even know what they are. Literally, I've never seen one. I might as well say it. I might as well emphasize it, because I'm fed up with getting letters from people all the time saying, "Don't touch the Ouija boards," and which it's bad for your health. What I find so annoying is that that it should be reduced again to this level of total absurdity. I'm not interested in the occult or dabbling in black magic or any of these kinds of things, or for that matter, strange sort of forms of mysticism. I am purely interested in being open-minded. I mean, after all, there are so many inventions and things that have happened and been proved scientifically in the past, which everybody totally poo-pooed before they were proven.
Now, ma'am, a question of clothes and your clothes. So much attention, public attention, is focused on them, and so important to the fashion industry in this country. How much time do you have to give to your clothes?
Not as much as perhaps people think. My clothes are not my priority. I enjoy bright colours, and my husband likes to see me look smart, presentable. And fashion isn't my big thing at all. Obviously, if I'm helping the fashion industry and helping the British side of things, well, that's marvellous. But I never tried to do that. And I do think there's too much emphasis on my clothes.
But going away to Australia and the United States, that must involve quite a bit of work.
Well, it was like when we first went on tour after we got married. I mean, I'd had not the capacity of clothes. I mean, I had to buy endless new things, of course, because I just didn't have them, because on a tour you change 3 or 4 times a day. You can, sometimes. And obviously I had to buy new things, and that was the problem. The arrival of all the new clothes were causing tremendous criticism. But what else could I do? I couldn't go around in a leopard skin something, I don't know. I had to produce something that was decent.
Do you take his advice?
Absolutely, but I mean, I ask him, but if this looks right or that looks right. But the chances of turning up in what he says, absolutely nil.
She asked me, you see, which one do I wear? I said, why did you wear that one?
Okay, and the other
Turned
one.
out it's something else. Why do you ask me?
Have you ever been to the United States before?
No, I've never have. No, it's great excitement there.
So what are you expecting to see? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I go with an open mind. Much the easiest.
It's full of your long-lost American cousins, isn't it?
There's quite a few of them around.
You will meet a lot of long-lost cousins.
Yes.
And these are great occasions which you take part in, which you know other people enjoy. And yet, say, when you go abroad, you have to leave the children behind now.
Yes.
Is that a wrench?
Terrible wrench, obviously. But they must have a stable life as much as we can give. And obviously taking them around the world isn't that. But they're very well looked after here. We miss them dreadfully, but we're coming back to them soon.
And coming back is perhaps the best part of the day.
Of course it is, yes. Very much so.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's that. Prince William thinks that's quite enough.
Hey!
Make funny faces over there.
Why should I do this?
Shall we play it again, Harry?
That's the
Try
topic.
piano.
Right, fine, thank you.
You've
Now
got
with
to
the
try
song
do
at
the
the piano.
piano.
Sebastian, I need some room.
Okay.
Harry, what are you doing over there?
You go and get Harry. Because I can't do it. It's too heavy.
Harry, not
We can see
yours,
mine.
Harry.
Hey!
Hey,
So if you could turn slightly towards me, I'm just trying to avoid a light in the window behind.
Harry,
on his head?
Harry, go. He's trying to do my hand off. Harry, stop doing ow. Harry.
Look, sit him on your shoulder.
Harry. Hey! Barbara! Look!
He's got you. Be careful, don't put it too much.
Harry!
Now look.
Don't move!
What are you doing?
What's that with you? A bust, is it? Oh, what's that? Is that a present?
No, car!
Knock, knock.
Under the tablecloth, someone won't stir.
William?
Come on, let's quickly. Come on. I'll show you something. Come on, I'll show you something.
Harry, go find him.
Yeah, look, let me down, I'll show you. Harry, look.
Oh, she wants some. Ask if you can have some powder. No,
You'll be right there.
Now, Mother may need a little powder for her picture. Better test it first.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah? Go sit with Mommy now. Hey, look. Quickly, look. Bring it over here.
Do you know they're taking pictures out in the rain, too?
Look!
Only a little bit.
No, it's not.
Yes, look!
No, it's not.
Look!
Do you want
Right
to
there.
sit in?
Yeah.
Did you want William to
Yes.
sit here as well?
Yes, I'd like that if I could. What I'd quite like to do is both the
Won't we ever be rid of the television people?